So just recording this. Welcome to the bonus session Q&A. Today, really, we're going to dive into the people who are here. So Paula and Nancy are the lucky first. We'll spend a little bit of time working with you guys on your customer pathways and content plans. Last week, we talked about 3 different stages, right? About your customer avatar being clear on that, creating a content plan for your followers and community, and then about the customer onboarding journey and the customer experience of how they feel and see the experience you're giving them while they've purchased a program of yours, right? To then turn them into raving fans. So Paula, since you are on unmute, shall we kickstart with you? Can you give me an update of where you're at and any thoughts you might have?
Well, program's been awesome. I've learned a lot considering I knew nothing before I did the summer school. It's been amazing. I did make changes to my promotion plan that you told me, so I uploaded that and sent it to you. So hopefully that's going to be a little bit more clear.
So from in regards to the content plan and the community or the customer experience, have you mapped out yet like what type of content you want to share with the followers and community?
I have. It's the way I had it was launching the website and then doing some short, videos. Of course, I'm going to use email and notifications and blogs.
Okay.
And also, you had mentioned to do the discovery calls. I love talking to people, so I love that idea after I do the virtual open house. And then I could talk to people individually who have questions. So
just be mindful that when you're doing that virtual open house, and you are doing those discovery calls, that that's the prospect stage, right? Where you give your customers lots and lots of value, but you need to be clear on what is the outcome. The outcome is that you want to sell them into the next step if they're suitable, right? So for you, it is to determine, is that person suitable for your program? And if they are suitable for your program, what does this look like, right? Like, is it a payment plan? Is it, and how do you ask for that sale in the end of the session? So it's not just about providing great value, because every one of our interaction needs to have an outcome, right? And an virtual open free session with you one-on-one needs to have some outcome. And that's not just for people to say, oh my God, Paula is amazing, and then walk off, right? You want them in the next journey. And I think, I honestly believe most of us have an issue with it. I'm not the best in asking for that sale in the end as well. And it took me years to practice that. How do I give the people the what, but not the how, right? Because I get so swooped up with, oh my God, your problem is, for me, it's like the problem is so easy to fix that I just go straight away in, and then, I've solved the problem, and then we're like, great, thank you, we just work on that. And I'm like, wrong exercise, right? So absolutely, when you're doing discovery calls as part of your pathway, make sure that you do provide the value to people, but that you are actually asking for the sale. And at that stage, it is okay to ask for the sale, right? Like if someone goes and says, I want to check in with you, and I want to have you a one-on-one time, it is okay to ask for that sale.
So I was thinking from the virtual open house, the discovery calls would be for those that are interested in registering for that program, that have additional questions, other than just call and just spend time. So, they would really understand this was to see if the program was suitable for them and to see if we were a good fit, that sort of thing.
Yep, pre-qualifiers are really good.
Yeah.
So pre-qualifiers are things, well, first of all, like people don't like giving their phone numbers, for example, right? Or their places to live and stuff like that. So pre-qualifiers are really good to narrow down. You obviously drop the amount of conversations you're having, but then the conversations are much more relevant to you, right? So even though there might be less sales conversations, the chances of converting those sales are higher. So absolutely. And pre-qualifiers could be like a on your website an opt-in, right? Where it says, or when you drop in your calendar link, your calendar link sequence might be answer these 5 questions, right? So that when I do a pre-qualifying round, I usually give them like a mini survey they have to tick off as they book themselves in. And then when they've booked themselves in, they go, they've completed all the stuff, then they go, it's like, okay, you're booked in now, add this to your calendar, blah, 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 right?
Right.
Yeah, I just did a very interesting sequence. So this is something I just wanted to have a share and a chat to you guys about. So one, not out of our community, different community, but one of a really well-known business coach has put out a Facebook ad. So this is where you need to believe in your own values and show those values in every step, right? So he put out an ad saying, hey, here is a webinar, join my webinar on sales. So how to convert a prospect into a customer, right? So it's like, oh, very relevant to all the stuff I do. I'll book myself in. So I clicked on that Facebook ad. I went straight into here's the opt-in page, fill in your detail. And I was like, that makes sense, right? Like webinar, you don't get anything for nothing. But then it redirected me into a sales call for his top tier program, which is $2,500 US a month. And what I found really interesting is that I never went back to the webinar sequence. So I'm now booked in with the sales guy tomorrow for a 15-minute call, which I never ever aimed for, and actually never got back to that webinar. So if I wasn't doing this for research purposes as a customer, I'll be pissed, right? Because I signed up for a 60-minute webinar, and then I end up on a 15-minute sales call without even getting the webinar. Like if he would have gone and said, okay, here it is, you book into the 15-minute webinar, and then got an email saying, here is the link to the webinar to watch, I'd be probably still pissed because I never wanted to sign up for a 15-minute call, but at least I got what I wanted in the first place. Right now, I'm really looking forward to the sales conversation tomorrow because they don't know what they're getting themselves into, right? Because I'm like, okay, I've got 15 minutes. And this is not the first time. It's really interesting because he is really well known. I have a lot of business friends who I respect who do his program and absolutely love his program. And so I already have a lot of trust, right? They recommended me. So I moved from follower. I wasn't even a follower, straight to prospect, because I was like, I'm looking, to expand who am I looking for. But this is the third step in his funnels I've taken, which took me off the subject of what I originally signed up for. And I was just like, I'm confused. How did I get from there to there, right? It's the same thing. The first time, I shared this guys with you guys before, $1,500 program. I signed up straight away, not knowing anything about it. This has been like 3 months ago. I still don't know anything about it. Still don't understand how it works, what happens, right? So I made a commitment in the first week of October when Entrepreneur Summer School is over. I'm going to do some research and some digging because apparently he's amazing. So when you're in his one-on-one program, or not one-on-one, but his high-end program, which is still a group program, everyone raves about him. So I'm like, how do you even get clients into that program if that's just the experience you're giving them beforehand, right? And yeah, I get it. I scrutinize it a little bit more because customer pathways is my thing, right? And I want to see always how to improve, etc. But like, hands up for you guys, would you not be pissed if you signed up for a webinar, end up on a sales call?
How is it that you booked in with him and it's supposed to start in 3 months from now, or like it was supposed to start,
so
but nothing?
It started immediately, but I never got anything from him. So it was a 10 weeks program. I never got anything from him. I reached out multiple times. They sent me here are the online modules you can do, and I'm like, yeah, but it was called a case study program, and it said in the copy, it said the more you show up, the more we work together. And I'm like, you've given me 3 online modules. How are we working together? How are you showing up for me? Like, that was the question I had, right? So, but I had no email sequence, no follow-up, no, messenger chatbot to go and say, hey, how are you going? Or we've seen you haven't, like even emails, how you would normally get an email to say, hey, we've seen you haven't launched the program yet, or you haven't started. Can we help? What's the struggle? All that kind of stuff. Like you can only lead a horse to the water. You can't make it drink. So you can go to your customers and reach out with the experience you want, right? So Entrepreneur Summer School was very similar. We have, every online program has a number of people who just simply, they buy the program and then they never do anything with it, right? I know you guys are all here, you will find this crazy like me, but it's the case, right? People actually buy something, and how many times, like I've done this, even small programs, which is like $50 or $150, and then I never got around to actually watching them or doing them, or started with great intentions and then life went in the way. It was just not solving my pain problem big enough to do it, right? But yeah, so every online program has this element of people buying and then not doing anything with it. But and this is where values come in. When we started Entrepreneur Summer School, I was like, okay, what is the reminder sequence for those people who just simply not taking any action, right? So we went and then we sent emails, we picked up the phone, we WhatsApped them, we sent them a call. If they don't respond to any of it, we can go and say, genuinely, we've tried everything we can to support the people to jump on board. If they don't want to, they don't want to, and then you let it go, right? But you can, so I signed up for this 10-week program 3 months ago, and going 3 months without one single email or one single message to say, hey, where are you? What's going on? Checking in, like zero, nothing. And so that was my first experience. And then my second experience was today. I was like, oh, sales. It's like, I can do this. How do you get from prospect to customer? Want to learn a bit more about it. Ending up on a sales call. So I'll post in the group tomorrow how the sales call went, because, if I was another customer, I would probably reschedule or cancel that call or not show up for that call. This is the other thing for you as a business entrepreneur who wants to talk to people who are real leads. This guy is going to waste 15 minutes on me tomorrow. I already know that, like, most of the time people would probably not show up, but I already know that he's going to go into a conversation with me where I'm like, what the hell are you guys thinking? So I'm not envying this person, but you know what I mean? Like, it's one of us, why would you do this? So when you're thinking about your customer pathway, you need to think of every single scenario. So what happens if the person buys and doesn't show up? What happens if the person buys, doesn't show up, but sends you a message saying, hey, can I reschedule? Like, we had people reach out in the Entrepreneur Summer School directly to me saying, Paulina, can I have a one-on-one with you? Because I missed my feedback session. Well, that's not how the program works. If I give a one-on-one to one person, I will have to give it to everyone, right? So where's the consistency? So it is really like, what are the different scenarios? And it's not because I don't want to meet with that person one-on-one. It's just that if I would go and say, if someone comes into a feedback session and says, I had the most amazing one-on-one with Paulina the other day, how are you going to feel about it? Who are patiently showing up on that particular call, right? What happens if their customers are showing up? Like, what's their rewards? So as you can see, we've created a whole heap of bonus sessions, throughout the weeks, which weren't planned, where we were like, we want to give, for those people who are showing up, we want to reward them with additional sessions, right? So every mentor like me and facilitator gone and said, yep, we are in, we're going to provide additional sessions for those people who want to show up. So what's that customer experience like, right? Then you go into, okay, what happens if all the best plans failed and you didn't do right by your customer? for whatever reason, right? Sending the wrong link and people not being able to show up because, you know, human error happens. Like it's nature. What happens if the Zoom session suddenly I run out of internet, right? Or the mentor doesn't show up. Like what are the, and then you go and say, okay, what's that scenario then? How are we going to make up for that mistake and that error, right? So this is what customer pathways are all about. The more you know your scenarios, you can't plan for every scenario, but the more you know your scenarios, the easier it is to react when the email comes in or doesn't come in, right? And as human beings, of course, if someone buys your program, you're super excited. You want them to show up, right? So how will you handle? You personally will handle the fact that the people aren't coming. Are you going to take it as a rejection? Are you going to take it as a, this is their life, right? Like, and they haven't shown up, so it's actually not about me, but about them. Are you going to try to reach out to them to figure out what's their feedback, why they haven't showed up, right? It's to figure out where's the problem. Is it a problem in communication? Is it a problem in time? Because 90% of the time, people not showing up does not mean it has anything to do with you. And this is very important when you go online, and Elizabeth, for you as well. A lot of the times, I don't know how often you've done this, but when I work with e-commerce clients, so clients who want an e-commerce website, at the beginning, you have customer education, right? So customer comes in and they can't book or they can't order or whatever. The first thing you think as a business owner is the website doesn't work. I can guarantee you 98% of times it's user error. But as a business owner, we take the responsibility on to say, this is our fault. The website isn't working, right? So I have always at the beginning, when we are doing user testing with the customers on the e-commerce websites, we always have like a month period where we get a phone call 3 times a day saying this person rang and they couldn't do this. And I'm like, yes, they couldn't because they are outside of the area, or they are outside of, like their credit card bounced, or like 98% of the times it's user error, right? When you get to this stage. But we as business owners take it on. So that's where you need to do education, right? Like I shared with you guys at the beginning. If you're building something on a brand new platform where people have never been before, you need to put a lot more effort right up in the beginning to go and explain to them and show them how does it work, right? We had, when you look at the ESS, because we were in GeniusU platform. Oh, look at this beautiful sun coming out, and I can't see you guys. But so we were like, okay, how do we explain to people that everything is happening in individual circles, and why does it happen in individual circles, and where they can find the micro degrees, and what is the, like there's so many teething problems with it. But that's not because, well, partly some of the stuff, yes, there was technical issues, but partly it is because it's a brand new platform and people like, we have a short attention span, right? If we don't get something in 7 seconds, then it doesn't work, right? It's not our fault, it's someone else's. It's like when you're building something and you don't reading the instructions, and then you go and say it's their fault that it's not putting together. Well, if you would read the instructions, you would know how to put it together. Yeah. So really, and then the last thing I wanted to share about the customer pathway is really, when you are looking at your customer pathway, have a look at what energies are your clients. So some of us won't know, like Elizabeth, if for you to know if a customer is a dynamo or a tempo energy is impossible to know, and that's and frankly irrelevant. But it is relevant in the customer journey, because you need to make sure that you put the customer journey together for every single energy. So especially for you, Elizabeth, like if you write an email long instruction text, which takes 5 minutes to read, then only loads will respond to that. Everyone else is like, oh my God, this is a death by text message, right?
Yeah.
True, right? So it's the same thing like with your email pathway. Make sure you have a mix between videos, quick messages. Like I said to you before, separate the logistics from the content. Maybe quick how-to videos for those people who are more visual, right?
Yeah.
And want to follow it out. So maybe, you know, like when you look at the Entrepreneur Summer School, we had emails, we have visual schedules like graphics, we have how-to videos on our welcome page, right? We had webinar orientation webinars for the Blaze people who wanted to connect and be physically in that space, yeah? So really think about the journey from every energy perspective. Because I was like, when I launched or when I joined ventured in the financial education company I'm part owner of, at the beginning when you sign up, the customer journey was that you got like, I think it was 9 emails, one a week, but the email was like 6 pages long. And I'm like, oh my God, like, and they're like, we're doing this for a reason. And I'm like, you're a financial education company and you've just proven to everyone that financial education is boring by sending that one message. Yeah. It's like, no one's got time for 45 minutes to read an email. Wrong medium. So if you have any content like that, where you're like, okay, I want these people to know it, either put it into a short video or put it on an online platform, somewhere where people can refer back to it. But don't make it a compulsory email pathway. Like if you are like me, I get like 800 emails a day. I'm not over exaggerating. I literally get 800 emails a day. So how do you think, how much time do I have to read a 45-minute email? What are the chances that I just go and hit delete without reading it? As relevant as it might be, yeah? So really think from a customer's perspective on this. And when you have this lots and lots of information on your program to deliver, what would that look like? All right, Lance. Thank you, Paula. Lance, let's jump in with you. What was your biggest question mark or challenge or thought process or learning curve?
To be frank, I am on information overload, and I've just learnt that there's probably a need, I think, in this context, for an alternative route. In the sense that it would be good to be able to focus on one thing and be able to finish it off before having another thing and not getting back to finishing off the previous and then being overwhelmed by the next and then overwhelmed by the next. And so frankly, I have not been able to do anything on the product pathway and the customer journey, not because I didn't want to, but because it's just, you know, whilst attending to my clients, attending to the family needs, attending to the to the lessons, putting in the time to do all of the stuff that I need to do, it just hasn't happened.
Fair enough. No, and this is a really good point. So let me just rearrange myself so that I can actually see you guys, because I am getting blinded. So that is a really good point. So here is what I say about this. And this it relates back to the customer journey. So yes, this is a full-on program. We stretch you guys for a reason. The reason why you're being pushed so hard is because we all know that we only grow and we only change if we're uncomfortable. If you sit comfortably in your own skin, then you're never going to grow. Now, the one thing I can share with you is, Alliance and everyone, is trust the process. Right now, you're learning exactly what you need to know for this given moment. For the rest, because you go and say there's so much valuable information and I couldn't get my head around it, that's where the micro degrees come in that you will have later on, so you can rewatch the content, you can start it, and you have a year's, or I think it's a year or a lifetime, I'm not quite sure, but opportunity to go back and learn or relearn all those things and do them in your own pace. Yeah. Just reflect back on where you were 4 weeks ago and how much knowledge you had 4 weeks ago to now. If we would have stretched this, and like I shared with the content I've taught over the 3 hours, right, is normally a 25-day program. So for me, so just to give you an idea, I squeezed 25 lessons into 3 hours. So of course you're going to go, oh my God, this is like ridiculous. But if I would have only taught you a fifth of that, right, you would have probably gone and said, oh, I don't know if that was really worth my value for money. Yeah, so it's a catch-22. So we always, in every one of our programs, we aim to challenge and to get you into an uncomfortable spot, because that's where you grow, and that's where you go and turn around afterwards and say, oh my God, I've learned so much. Yeah. But for the overwhelm, it's perfectly normal. And I'm pretty sure you're not the only one in this boat. I've had this overload as well when I did it. So it's okay. Just trust that you receive out of the process what you need, and you can go back to what you haven't done later on in the piece. The key is here, though, to keep the momentum. So going back to you guys in regards to like, okay, next week we're going to be finished. You guys going to be on your own to run your promotion plans and run all of this. Who do you have in your life who's going to keep you accountable and who's going to push you? This is not me making a sales pitch. This is me just going and saying, who do you have in your life who you can connect with? That could be a mentor, that could be a business partner, right? It could be a friend who you're exchanging accountability with. But who is there in your life who's not going to go and say it's okay not to do nothing? Who's going to be there in the life to go and say, hey, Carissa, what's the next step? Have you launched your program, promotion plan yet, right? Same with every single one of you. Because the promotion plan and what we teach you here is only successful if you implement it. Right? If you heard my story at the beginning and you go and say, okay, I want to go from working 100 hours to not like working 1 day a week and the money working for me. That doesn't happen if you just listen to this, say, great, and now I know it, but I'm not going to action it. And that's where the push comes. So thanks, Lance, for the feedback. I'm actually really, like when you say that you're in total state of overwhelm and you're learning so much and you're, like still implementing, I get really excited because it just means that we are getting you ready for the next step. To be prepared and going. I know it doesn't feel like that for you, but it does feel like this to me. And I only know this because I've been in that place as well, right? And Roger puts me in an uncomfortable place all the time. Every time we launch one of these programs, we are hitting the impossible, right? Like it's literally, it feels like we are climbing a mountain we didn't even know that existed. And then afterwards we're like, oh my God, we've done that, right? How many cool stories did come out of this? But that's, being in an uncomfortable place for, and same thing for your clients. So when you refer it back to your customer service experience, what is this customer service experience you are aiming to give your people, right? The Genius Institute is aiming to push people and make them uncomfortable because they want growth. Our value is to give you so much, to give you the successful tools you need to be successful and to push you to grow. Because if you do what you've always done, you're never going to get any other outcome, right? So that's what values are portrayed. So when Lance, you reach out to me in a conversation like this and say, oh my God, there's just so much to learn. That's great. It's making you aware of all the things you didn't know beforehand. Now you know them, you have to do something about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, yesterday I spoke to oh dear me. Sorry, brain's not working. But
that's okay.
Everything I thought I was going to do in terms of my customer journey was turned upside down, and now I've got a totally new start. So oh, okay.
Are you getting clearer on the journey though? Every time it gets turned around, are you getting clearer on what it is you actually want to do with your customers?
No. No. Here's the problem. I'm a technician. What I do really well is work with the clients.
Mm-hmm.
All of the technology is just, it's just a fog. And for instance, I've paid a lot of money to try and set up a CRM, and all I've done is annoyed my clients.
Mm-hmm. That's probably because you set up the CRM without the outcome of what does the customer experience need to look like.
Most probably, absolutely, most probably. But I couldn't balance, you know, I couldn't keep writing all the emails that I had to write. I just physically didn't have enough time to do everything. So I was like, okay, we've got to get a CRM. Now I'm getting
question
complaints.
for you. So question for you is, what's the lesson out of this? If you know you're good one-on-one with your client and not so great with technology, what is the lesson you've learned out of this?
I need to get enough clients to generate the income to purchase some help, but I'm not there yet.
So my recommendation to this is, and this is a recommendation to everyone, is if you're in that spot that you're going and saying, I don't actually have enough money to hire someone in my spot, outsource to a VA in the Philippines. For $10 an hour, you get a fully qualified person who's going to be able to support you. And that $10 an hour, you know, like, and you can do this part-time. Like we have I have a VA, she's absolutely incredible. I pay something like 600 US a month for full-time work. So some, you know, go into the Philippines, go into India, to those places where they offer virtual assistants. You can specify, like we have a VA working here at the Entrepreneur Summer School with us. She is, I think she's in the Philippines, if I remember correctly. She has a technical background where all her specialty is CRMs, emails, all that kind of stuff, right? And for 6 weeks of work, it costs us $600. So that would be, Lance, I agree. Like, you know, when I look at here, someone in New Zealand, minimum wage is $20. And a virtual assistant will charge a minimum of $30 an hour. I'm going and saying I'm not willing to pay $30 an hour for, not because they're not good at their job, it's just because you're trying to manage your cash flow, right? Especially if you can reach out to somewhere like the Philippines to go and say that you want someone, you know, for the $10-12 mark, working for you 10 or 20 hours a week. So, you know, for $100 a week, you'll make your headache go away.
I've just got burnt from trying to do some stuff with Upwork. I asked for, because I've wanted.
Upwork is different. So Upwork is Upwork is a creative contractor who is contracting to you. What I'm talking here about is really virtual assistants, so PA services, where you are contracting a company. The company sources that VA for you. They do all the HR, and they do all the employment hard work. You just give them, this is what I need you to do. So it's like an employee, except that the employee is employed by someone else. You're contracting a whole business to provide you that one person. And the good thing about those businesses is that if that one VA doesn't work out for you, they'll find you another one. I can.
Where's the directory of those?
Yeah, I knew you would ask this. I will reach out to. There's a couple of different ones. I would post them in the circle. I'm going to reach out to a couple of the facilitators who are using others, so that I have 2 or 3 different people you can check out. So, and then I'll drop this in our circle. I'll drop the information so you guys can have a look. But yes, so so back to the lesson, right? You've gone and said, okay, all this technology I don't understand. A lesson for this is, how do I outsource this as quickly as I can? The other way of outsourcing is, who have you met in these sessions, in your feedback sessions? Who have you met who is on the same journey as you are, who might have the complementary skills? So I know, for example, in one of our feedback sessions, we have Peter. Peter is he's an accountant by trade, but he's a mechanic. But he does social media. So he does all your website SEO, all the posting on Facebook for you, right? All that kind of stuff. And what he lives in Australia, and his prices are super reasonable for what all the things he's doing, right? So it's a question of why don't you just go into the ESS main circle and drop in the discussion tab a message saying, hey, this is who I'm looking for, who is here in this community. Why not help each other out and support each other, right? All right, Carissa, let's jump to you.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? You're like really showing up everywhere, which is awesome.
Yes, I got an email just on the customer saying, why aren't you on live calls? And I said, well, I wrote back and I said, it's because I didn't go to any of the Facebook ones, because the 1 a.m. was just, some people can do it. I find I'm past the waking up in the middle of the night for a crying child. It's just challenging. I think I did it once, but anyways, I love that I got the email, because that meant that people were getting the, you know, it's like people cared. I liked that feeling, even though I wrote back and said, I have been on them. And then they wrote back, okay, great, thanks. You know, mostly. And then I said this one I hadn't. So this month has been amazing. And the cash flow one is amazing too. Like I'm in that one right now. And like, there's so much. Are our circles going to stay live for the year? That we have so we'll be able to go back in and get the links, right?
So okay, actually, good question. All the micro degrees, all the recordings will all show up in the micro degree section of the main circle. So you actually only have to bookmark that one circle, because in a couple of weeks' time, every single micro degree will show up in that circle.
Including when you posted, like, watch this video or here's a resource, the circle part, not the micro degree, but our circle where you've posted links, will that stay there too?
Yeah, so the links, the circles will stay, and you're going to be in that circle permanently. So you can go back for any discussion tab links.
Okay.
You need to jump back into the circle. But for the actual micro degrees, you only need the main one. But yes, you will have access to it the whole time.
Okay. So I have a question. It's really kind of, it's a timing question. Mm-hmm. So it occurred to me this morning, I was on my call with my main person, over the whole time, which by the way, I really like that design of having someone where there's a weekly check-in with that. Like I found that really helpful. And it occurred to me that this is a 3-month promo plan, and I am building towards a mini course that's kind of like the beginning for me of what's going to be building out, but like a first point, and then there's other stuff, like more of a pathway after that too. But I was like, okay, so early December, launching a mini course is like, are people are getting ready for Christmas? You know, are people going to be, you know, ready to do this life purpose thing? That's more of a New Year thing. So then it was like, you know, start your year doing this, but then how much time, like let's say someone starts, between when people start signing up, like there's just something about the rhythm of it that I'm not clear on. If people sign up and then there's like a month wait, but they got a big discount, is that okay, or is that too long? Like what's too long? Because I want this course to be live. I want it to be high touch. So
it really depends on what you do, but in the time frame between them signing up and them being going onto the course, right? So what does onboarding look like? So you could advertise through the whole of October, November, right? Sign up, and my special offer finishes on the 1st of December. Starting a course in the beginning of January. That's all about wording, right? So it would be all about set your intention early this year. Don't get to the stress and the hustle and bustle of the New Year's resolutions. You know, get started straight away with a kickstart in it. It's all about wording. There's also, it's all about advertising spend, because New Year resolution is the top performing marketing skill you can do, which also means that your cost per lead goes like through the roof, right? So if you would normally see a cost per lead between $5 to $10, that can go up to $150, because everyone is on Facebook competing for the same space. Yeah.
Right.
And the more people are advertising, and that's any platform, not just Facebook, right? The same thing with Google ads. And so the more you advertise and compete in that space, the more expensive it is to reach the people. Right?
Right.
The faster you do it, the better. If your course is, say you say sign up by the 1st of December for a 1st of January, I would incorporate, if you want high touch, I would incorporate discovery call. So I would incorporate, say, five email sequence where you pre-record some videos around what the subject will be like, you know, like keeping the momentum, and where you encourage them to book a call with you for 15 minutes, 30 minutes or whatever, to get started before the course, you know, so that they are ready before the course goes, right? So that for you, it'd be, okay, I'm buying, everyone get advices by the 1st of December, and then for the first 2.5 weeks, I'm going to be busy with connecting with those individuals before they do the course, do the course, right? So yes, you can do that, but you really need to map out what will the 4 weeks beforehand look like, because you don't want to just be great and I'll see you in 4 weeks time.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
People will be like, and what now what, right?
Yeah.
So what are little things you could, so because I don't know the content of your program, but I can give you an example. Like I have quite often where people go and say, hey, I want to work with you, but I don't want to work with you until the next quarter, right? And I go, okay, let's sign the contract now and get you ready. And then we start on that date. But what happens in the meantime is they get the tools where they're like, okay, create your future vision. What is your ikigai, right? Like all these things, which I normally do in the strategy session, the first strategy session, they get up front, which means that when I get to the strategy session, I already have all this information, which means I can get started straight away with it. Yeah.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
they're still getting all this information, and they're still prepping for the 6 weeks prior, right? With us giving a check-in to say, okay, hey, how are you going? You know, like we haven't seen your future vision back yet. Like, so we're still doing that onboarding. We're just doing it in a much longer space. Yeah. Which works really well for the client, but it needs to be you need to give it momentum. If you're signing up for something like set up your intention, you need to give them a reason why they need to wait for.
It just occurred to me too, one of my avatar's issues is feeling connected to people in an authentic way, and having a thing over Christmas might actually not be a bad thing, because maybe Christmas isn't great for them, and maybe this would be something they could look forward to in December. You know, I could actually do something kind of against that flow and just be like, it's a December course, you know, enjoy your holidays, something you can do over your holidays, over your
your attendance rate will be much lower. Disconnected on it, they're still going to have to go on the traditional family, you know, having a turkey type thing. But what you could do is you could create a free Facebook group where you show up for those 4 weeks live for the first, with like little tasks for them to do. It's almost like a stretched out challenge, right? And then you could, depending on what you do, you could go and say on Christmas Eve, if you wanted to, or on Boxing Day, we are all getting together for an orphanage virtual Christmas party. And then you could do like a Christmas, you know, for the people who haven't got connection and that they want real conversation, they can show up live, you know, having dinner with you guys and then have that conversation around, you know, what intentions do you want to set yourself, etc., etc., at that Christmas party.
That's lovely.
You know, this way you are still doing the whole connection thing over Christmas.
Yeah. So just another, so with the energies, you were mentioning, you know, should put out things for all of the energies. Is there a resource out there around how to do that? Or do I just like need to take more courses with Roger Hamilton to find that out? Or is there like something he's got, like how to promote to all the energies?
Let me give you the sales pitch right now. No, I'm kidding. You can visit, I'm just joking. If you jump onto Roger's YouTube video, YouTube channel, I would Google something like sales dynamics, or like he's got those videos. Let me put hold on. Let me just write a note on this. And let's see if I can find it. If I can find the video, I will post it in the group.
Thank you.
Because I know he's got like a 5 to 10 minute video on like how the different energies love, how the different energies communicate, how the different energies learn, right? Like that's a whole series of those videos on their entrepreneur cycle. So let's see if I can find this.
Cool. Thank you so much. And I'll go look too.
Yep, perfect. And the other one was VA companies. Just so you guys are aware, I have like back-to-back calls for most of the day, so that will happen in a few hours. That's not going to happen straight away. All right. Elizabeth, let's jump over to you.
There you go. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Well, thank you. Yeah, not bad at all. Thank you. Right.
So how are you getting on?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit, as Lance said, it's all overwhelm. But it's fantastic stuff. You know, it's like things have just been thrown up in the air and it's all going to come and land. You just got to, and I think I value the fact that we can go back and revisit. It's a question of assimilating and marinating, and I'm quite sad that it's the final week, to be honest. You know, I said to my husband earlier this morning, you know, the summer school, I wish I'd been able to inhabit the space more, you know, where I wish that it was like a residential where everything else just gets blocked out, and you can just focus 100% on, because it's all fantastic stuff. Going back to your original question,
hold on here for a second. You just need to come and join our iLab program.
The who, what, where?
The iLab program next year. So we usually, how the Entrepreneur Summer School came about in the Crisis Leadership Academy is that we used to do residential programs. It's 14-day program, right?
Yeah.
Called the iLab, where you have mentors either fly in or Zoom in to pretty much do that, build a promotion plan within 14 days. You have you're a group, I think maximum of 15 people. You have a facilitator like me there on site with you on the retreat from the morning till the end, and it's literally like 8 hours of every day of implementation, mentors creating, and you do this in the midst of Bali, right, in the most beautiful spot, so you can cocoon yourself away. So that's the original and the flagship program of the Entrepreneur Resorts. That's where all our facilitators are trained, right, where we do that program, we run the promotion plan. And then obviously when with the borders closed, we couldn't do that. So we had no opportunities to do iLab. So we went online. But you can't hold people online for 8 hours straight. They're gonna disappear, right? Hence the program became a 4-week program and gradual. But yes, so that program does exist in real life. We do it in South Africa, in Bali, and in the Czech Republic. So keep an eye out.
Hopefully we'll be able to get back together again before too long.
Absolutely.
But
anyway.
Yeah, it'd be nice. In terms of the takeaway, one of the it was a fascinating thing was I'd never considered that from the point of first contact, and for my guests, it would be the minute they're looking for accommodation that they're actually embarking on a journey. the journey for, you know, I'd never looked at it in that context before. So, you know, I just said, oh, guest is booked, they're coming, got to get ready. You know, make sure make sure they feel looked after, make sure everything's just so, and all of that. But I hadn't actually had thought about the fact that it's a journey for them. So I think that's quite exciting, that you can actually bring your creativity into that process, which is mundane and predictable and automated, but you can still make that creative. And it's the little things that you can do to, I mean, one of the things we picked up on the LinkedIn course was from Neeraj, was the use of emojis to actually bring a little bit, to make, you know, you're saying about long emails, and so I've got a note here now to condense my emails, but actually make it visually more appealing as well. I was writing down here, images question mark, where you can actually, you know, go on the I can't say it, Emojipedia, and just make little insertions that are going to catch the eye and perhaps bring a smile, so it makes the process of working their way through that document a bit more enjoyable and palatable. So I think for me that was quite a revelation, actually. I quite like that. I like the pathway. I haven't fully got to grips with it, if I'm honest, but I like the way that it plots the course and it removes all that thinking for you, and I can use that as my template to then build in the automation. So I mean, that's going to be a big job, obviously. That's not going to happen while I'm doing this, but in terms of keeping the momentum going, that's helpful. And also the concept of the followers and the community and the prospects and the customer and the raving fans, and just thinking of actually plotting their course and doing it deliberately, on purpose, deliberately putting in mechanisms that are going to take them from A to B to C to D. And that's just fascinating. And it's just, yeah, never, just hadn't occurred at all. You're so busy doing the do that you don't think about these things, you know, you're just getting on with it. So
you will now, next time sponsored ad pops on your Facebook and you're following this through, you will never ever look at it ever the same way again.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as like when you go to a webinar, now that you know that the outcome of a webinar is actually to make a sale, you're never going to look at what value they provide the same way.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to look at it going and saying, not that they're not providing good value, because absolutely they do. But like, this is the first thing I noticed. It's like, okay, where are they dropping the crumbs? You know, when they feed you a little bit here.
I'm in a funnel.
Like, oh, look, here they come for the sale. Yes, absolutely. But totally, our customers on a journey from the first moment they think about it. And not only in accommodation, but accommodation is a big one and a great example, because it's 80% of the excitement of a holiday is the preparation, right?
Yeah.
Not the actual holiday. It's like the lead into, oh, I need to look up for the accommodation and what are my flights, and just the build up of the excitement of going somewhere is 80% of your journey.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing in a digital pathway, you know, getting the excitement. By the time you have the customer paid your bill and onboarded, they're already 80% there.
And they feel like they know you've already built a relationship with them. They're not coming in, it's the relationship that you have with them has been warmed up already, not coming in cold. And so, you know, you're already on first name terms, you've already exchanged information. It's really quite lovely, really.
And it's much more forgiving. This is the other thing, because they've built trust and they've seen you go through this process. If you do make a mistake, because we all do, that's just life, right? Sometimes you just don't have enough toilet paper in the bathroom.
Well, UK now, they've just declared a semi-lockdown, so all the shelves have now, there's no toilet paper left. Here we go again.
Absolutely. But so, you know, when you think about this, like little things like that always happen. But if you've already built the trust and you've built that relationship like before they even come on board, then a lot more is forgiving.
Yeah.
And in a person, you have, because you have a personal touch and you have a physical business, for you it's actually easier than for anyone who does an online program, because getting this online trust and online building is much harder, right? Because there is nothing to see, feel, or touch.
Yeah.
It's all online over Zoom. But keep in mind that when you finish and Lance has already done it, so good on you. Keep in mind that when you're ready and you've finished your micro degree, in the end, you can book in a session with me, a 30-minute session with me. So take advantage of that when you finish, but you have to finish the micro degree first, because I need that information prior. But Lance already booked himself in for next week, I believe, which is really exciting. So I'm really looking forward to connecting with you. So really make an opportunity. And I know that I'm not the only mentor who says that I'm available afterwards to do whatever, whatever it is to support you guys.
When I've been
awesome.
orientating around the pages, there are a number of courses that are for free, I noticed, and there are loads of them I haven't done. I just haven't got anywhere near them, because obviously the modules that we've been doing has been quite consuming. Will they still be available to us, that we can go back and?
You are Genius Entrepreneur Mastermind, I think it's called. I always wonder what the G is for, but I'm pretty sure it's Genius. So the GEM membership you have for 12 months. So while you are a GEM member for 12 months, you get every micro degree for free, I believe.
Fantastic.
Sorry, let me rephrase. Every Genius Institute micro degree for free.
There's a GEM conference call tomorrow. I think Roger Hamilton's doing it, so I would qualify to register for that, would I? I thought it was
absolutely every single one of you guys.
Good, not for the likes of me.
But no, absolutely. And those calls are amazing, because every month he interviews people who are who have a great story, right? Who have I went from this to this, and it just helps solidify that taking those steps, doing those actions is actually working, right? Like we're not just making this up. There's plenty of us with success stories. It's literally just actioning it. And the more you, and the questions Roger asks are always very relevant to every one of us in our journeys, wherever we are in the pathway. So definitely book in for that call, listen in for the GEM call, just to give, you guys an insight of everyone else. Like, you heard my story. I'm pretty sure, every one of us has a story of how we got where we are. And it's not an unachievable story. That's the thing to remember. We all went through a pathway. We all went through a customer experience to get to the point where we are in. So if you go and say, I want to become a flow consultant or a performance consultant, or, I want to be one day a mentor or a facilitator, they are all pathways you can take. But it takes, the first step is get your business to the point where you want it to be, right? To the next, and only one step at a time. Don't think about how am I going to turn around $1 million. Think about how am I going to make the next zero. So if I'm earning $100, how do I go from $100 to thousands of dollars, right? To $10,000s of dollars. How do I hit the next zero and build your way up?
Yeah,
that's the way to do it.
Thank you, Paulina.
Yes, pleasure. And Carissa, there isn't a really time-bound on this. It's not like I go and say it's going to expire in a couple of months. If you've done the micro degree, you scan yourself in, then you're already good to go. Obviously, do it faster than later, because you want to continue the momentum, right, of building the plan.
Yeah.
But
okay, thanks. It doesn't have to be this Friday, though. It could be.
No, not at all. It doesn't have to be this Friday. That offers plans as long as the micro degree is live. He offers plans which you can.
Thank you.
Johanna.
Right. I am behind. I was overwhelmed this week. It was like I have to work, do this. I'm like, I couldn't do it. I was feeling a little bit like down, because I couldn't keep up with all the macro degrees. And I was just thinking, and I'm the person who likes to do everything. And I just said, I had to realize that I just couldn't do it, you see. So I had just to do at my own pace. So now listening you, Lens, and then also Carissa, you just asked this question. I think, oh, that's great. You see, that's really good. So I'm feeling much better, really. And also, I have to say, you know that last week, Elizabeth, you showed the plant of Elizabeth, and that helped me a lot, because I'm a person who likes, you know, when you just first put the things to fill up, and I just thought, oh, how you do it? And I just didn't know how to do it, you see, and I just was playing with it. And then when you show Elizabeth, I think, God, it inspired me. I still haven't finished it, but it really inspired me. And actually, I have like a little, in my country, I have a little business like yours. I think, oh, I can do that. So that was
Absolutely.
Good.
Yeah, so that's the power of the peer presentations. We always learn. We learn this in the CLA as well. We learn more by seeing examples of others to learn of, oh, I can do this, because not every one of us has all the creative juices flowing, right? of a perfect dynamo. So absolutely. And Johanna, like the rest of you guys, take it one step at a time. Just trust, regardless which micro degree you pick. You are in the right step in the process. You know, you will receive the end result you need to receive. So the biggest thing you can do is not decide and be inactive. That's the only thing that will not progress your business, is if you do not take action. Doesn't matter which action you take. It doesn't matter which micro degree you're going to do next and how long it takes you, as long as you're progressing and making taking action. That's really the key message to remember from this, right? So take your time, slow down. If you reach out to, like I said, scan in for a 30-minute call, and then we can go from there. All right, guys, thank you so much. I hope this was beneficial today. I'm really excited that you all showed up. It's been such a pleasure to have you guys, and like I said, feel free to book in, feel free to leave feedback if you want to, but I enjoyed the rest of this week and your bonus sessions for next week, and then we will see you all on the graduation call.
Paulina, just one question quickly. I tried to load up today 4 documents, and I couldn't. I'm not sure that I did it. I'm not sure that they've arrived.
On that particular microschool document?
Yeah, yours. Yeah.
Okay, I will look it up and send you a message.
Yeah, how many of them have landed?
Yeah, not a problem.
Great,
Thank you.
Great.
Alrighty, bye.
Bye. Bye. Night, everyone.